Hello and welcome back to 15 Tips of Effective Speaking. All right, so we are going to start with number one today, and it's going to be body language. How much body language do you have? Have you ever been around somebody where you are standing there talking and their body language is so big that when they use their arms, you have to step back because they're about to whop you with their hand? Or maybe they're talking to you and they're pointing their finger at you and you have to step back because it's like right in your nose area. Okay, so body language. Many people have expressive body language, and many the same people have methodical body language. This kind of goes back to the DISC personality styles or the DISC behavior styles that I teach. You'll find it in my blogs, you'll find them in my courses, and DISC is the language of behavior. Literally, everyone is wired differently, and if you can learn the different styles to the DISC behaviors, you can begin to learn about yourself, and you can learn how to deal with other people and how to build relationships. You know that person you can't get along with? If you learn DISC, you'll be like, oh, and it'll really help you be able to connect to other people. And I would say that also would help with speaking to people because you're going to be able to tell by their faces once you learn DISC kind of what their style just might be. All right. So I'm going to start out with that expressive person who's into your space and is way too expressive. Well, many years ago, I think I shared this earlier where I put on a message on a machine and I heard that I was too expressive and too loud, too high toned, and I had to calm it down a little bit. The same thing as in when I started doing video, at first I was like, good heavens, I am way too expressive because I have a little bit of that part of me that judges the things that I do. So I was way too expressive. And when I stopped and I tried to redo and not be expressive, then I was too authoritative and my teaching was authoritative and not fun. I consider myself a fun person. So the important thing is to learn what your style is and to operate within your style. So one thing is not better than the other, but to operate within your style and figure out what your strengths are. So if you are the highly motivated, fast, Speedy Gonzalez person who talks fast, walks fast, and does everything fast and very, very with lots and lots of expression, then you might find you have to tone it down a little bit. So watch yourself, record yourself, and decide. You need to tone it down a little bit. But whenever you start to operate outside your strength and who you are, then you become someone and something else, and you're probably not going to be as effective as you could be. So let's talk about the person who is very non-emotional and very doesn't show a lot of expression and doesn't have a lot of body language and that kind of thing. In itself, probably as a person who is more methodical, you will find that you have to speed yourself up just a little bit to kind of keep those thoughts moving and going. Maybe you need to add a little bit of body language, and it feels so strange to you because it's not something that you do all the time. But you probably need to add a little bit of motion, pitch high and low, speed up a little bit, and try to use a little bit of body language. Now, one of my pet things is often when you are methodical, you might have a tendency to break up your sentences. Like you might be talking and you are thinking at the same time. And so you stop every few words and then you say another few words. All right, so if you're listening to someone methodical and they do that, it's okay for a sentence or two, but if for a whole speech or a whole talk, it gets hard to listen to, or for the people who are faster paced, they might go to sleep on you. But you're using the art of the pause, which is a great thing, but you're using it way too much. So let me tell you about the art of the pause. The art of the pause is when you are making a statement or you're talking about something and you're telling a story, whatever you're doing, and you pause for the people to think about it, absorb it. then the pause is very effective. But if you use the pause all the time, then the pause is not special anymore. So as a methodical person, you have to try to keep yourself moving. And one of your places is to have really great content. Really great content, because you might not be quite as entertaining, but if you have great content, people will love your talk and what you have to say. So that's it on body language, methodical, Speedy Gonzalez. Tap into who you are and be who you are, be your natural self, but use those tips. The second thing is to be open and connected. To be open, some people are naturally open and they'll open themselves up to what works for them, what doesn't work for them, how they feel. That always helps people to connect if you know more about your speaker or more about a person. So whenever you start, I'm going to put another one of our tips on storytelling with this. So in storytelling, when you go to tell a story, you want to tell the story without too many details, but just the right amount of details that bring in the emotion of the story, connect you with other people. It might be something that happened to you that has happened to many of the people you're speaking to. And so when you use a story, it's not too long, but makes the points, brings in the emotion, then it helps you to connect to your people. And the more things that you talk about during your talk that connect you with people, like, oh, I lived in California, and somebody says, oh, I lived in California too. Oh, I took dance lessons. Oh, I took dance lessons too. Oh, I did this, and they did that too. It helps them connect with you, and they're more open to listening to you. So use the art of storytelling, but you want to be sure that your story connects with the points that you are making that day, or helps people get to know you better. All right, so connecting with your audience through similar things in my life and in your life helps you connect better with your audience. All right, then we have, gonna have to look at the glasses. Don't apologize. I'm not going to apologize, right? Don't apologize. Sometimes when we're speaking, if something goes wrong, we apologize for it, or we just do that. We start to apologize. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't have my glasses, but I kind of told you what I was doing right there. It's funny. I didn't do that on purpose. But don't apologize when you're speaking. Just keep on going, keeping everything lifted and moving along. Don't apologize. And my last one is enthusiasm. This is the 15th one. And so if you speak on things that you have enthusiasm and passion for, if you're a methodical person, you're going to research all those details and give people the points that they need to hear. Enthusiasm and passion. I would say never share a talk on something that you're not excited about, because it comes through. Just last night, I was watching The Voice on TV, and I was watching the different judges, and Nick, who is very expressive, from the Jonas Brothers, he's very expressive, and he was expressing to the singer how he wanted them to come onto his team. He liked that singer, and he was excited about that singer, and he was so expressive. You could see it on his face. You could see it in his body language that he wanted that person on his team. And then there was another person, and now this is my opinion and my judgment. There was another person that he had turned his chair around for The Voice. This is where the people are singing, and the judges cannot see them until they turn around. And they'll only turn around if you're a great singer, because they don't even know what you look like. It's a great idea. And so Nick had turned around for this person, and not saying that he didn't like what he saw or whatever, but maybe he wasn't as passionate about getting this person on his team. Maybe he didn't know, maybe he turned around on a whim and then didn't know if he could work with them as much. I don't know any of that. That's my opinion again. But when he started to make his ploy, to reach out for that person to choose him for their voice coach on The Voice, he started going through a whole list of things. Remember I talked about being expressive or not being expressive? He started going through mechanically, I would say. Mechanically or authoritatively, like I said I did that day when I tried not to be so expressive. And, he was not near as compelling. And as we watched, I was like, wow, he's not, he's not as compelling. He's not wanting that person as much because it shows in his passion and his enthusiasm and his body language whether he really wanted that person on his team. And guess what? They picked Kelly, right? So learning to have enthusiasm and passion when you're giving a speech, whether you're like that, usually you want to be a little bit excited on sharing. Why? Because you're not thinking about yourself whenever you're speaking, but you're thinking about the other person, what you're bringing to the table, what you're sharing with them, what kind of difference that you can make for them in your talk. And that's what gets us excited, right? And so that's what brings me today to share with you 15 tips of effective speaking.